Welcome to Gus Tech. It's time to take a stand. Today, we are going to be looking at the Dell UltraSharp U2715H. Is that all of them? Is that all the letters?
That's the whole name, yeah.
That's the whole name. So, holy crap, Dell. Thanks. That's going to be, I'm not going to remember that. This is a 1440p monitor. It is 27 inches, as the name implies. I don't know what 15 stands for, maybe 15 freaking syllables. Here's the stand for it, you saw in the intro there. It's a great monitor. We love this monitor because it's not very expensive. For a 1440p monitor at 27 inches, it only has a refresh rate of 60 hertz, so it is a little bit limited on that side of it, but it is a great IPS panel. Again, when you buy this monitor, you are buying from Dell, so they have fantastic color representation. Their backlight bleed is good. It's not the best in the industry. I don't know if it's quite where LG's at, but it is very good nonetheless. So you're gonna get really good picture fidelity and picture quality. This monitor is a little bit more for professional use, even though it's not a 4K monitor, but you're saving yourself quite a bit of money by going to that 1440p standard. Not to mention the fact that some people like to work in that standard because the scaling isn't nearly as much of an issue when using it with Windows. Let's talk about scaling for a minute. So we actually acquired this monitor to replace our LG 27UD68 monitor that was previously attached to the gaming rig here. And the main reason was because we had a 1440p screen on the one Dell monitor that we previously had and a 4K screen with the LG monitor, but both were 27 inches. So that creates an issue with pixels per inch, PPI. And Windows does such a terrible job of scaling. Actually, Windows does a great job of scaling, although all the legacy apps in Windows do a terrible job of scaling, and so it created a lot of issues from one program to the next, one monitor to the next. So to unify that, this is actually a recommendation I haven't made before because I didn't realize it was an issue before. I've always had 24-inch 1080p monitors. That was the standard for a long time. I've got tons of them. They're sitting around my house. They're taking up space. They're used by mice and children. It's ridiculous. Those 1080p monitors at 24 inches have a great pixel density, and it's only slightly less than a 1440p monitor at 27 inches. Why is that important? Well, when you're scaling one window to the next, it doesn't really cause any issues when you go from 27 to 24 inches from the 1440p to 1080p. However, when you have a monitor that's 27 inches and you go from 1080p to 1440p and then to 4K, you're creating a ton of issues in your pixel density, and it's gonna look like absolute hot garbage on Windows, especially with legacy applications that don't support the updated scaling standards. So what this means to you, the reason we picked up this monitor is because obviously Dell does a great job. It's a great professional use monitor. Not the best for gaming in the world, but from a 1440p monitor, if we have another 27-inch 1440p that we use as our primary display, it makes way more sense to unify the pixels per inch that your computer has. So if you have two 27-inch monitors, you either need to go 4K on both or go 1440p on both. The build quality on this monitor is fantastic. Dell has done a great job. They used a matte finish around the whole entire monitor, which I love. I hate glossy finishes, especially when it's black glossy. The scratches show up so easily. So it's a nice matte black. It looks clean, looks professional. It does have USB 3.0 pass-through, and it has, I believe it's either 4 or 5 ports in the back. The only issue I have is that the ports are in the same place that you have your input-output for the monitor itself. They're not in the easily accessible side panels like you're gonna get on most other monitors in this price range, which I guess makes it look a little bit cleaner, but it's also a pain in the butt because I have to stand up, reach way over my monitor, get back to those USB ports and start fiddling around with them, and that's just not convenient when you're using a monitor. It would be more convenient to have them on the back like they did, if it was just in a more accessible location and they didn't have the stupid orientation that they do. So, you know, I do like what Dell's trying to do in that transition, as this is a newer model for them. I just wish that the implementation was a little bit better. And it does obviously add the benefit, and I do want to address this, of not having USB ports on the side of the monitor, because when you have USB ports on the side, it blocks when you have multiple monitors. They start to bump into each other or intersect. I have this issue between my BenQ and my ViewSonic monitor at my other workstation, that they are bumping into each other constantly, and the ports are actually on like opposing sides, so they're like running into each other. It's awful. So I like the idea, I hate the implementation. I wish that these monitor manufacturers would take a bit more time to think of what the user wants and what the accessibility needs to be. Going back to build quality, the stand is fantastic. We obviously have it on a mounted arm for dual monitors, but this stand works great. It does have tilt, swivel, pivot, has everything that you want in a stand. It's a good build quality. It is a nice kind of brushed aluminum finish. Even though the stand itself is plastic, it still looks like it has that aluminum finish and feel to it. It is weighted, so if the monitor is not on there, it's really tough to get that down. We just use the weight right there. But obviously it's weighted for the monitor itself, and this is probably a great option if you don't want to buy a mounting arm for your monitor. The one thing that we can't stand about the build quality on this monitor is the stupid, retarded, mentally deficient, ridiculous, and probably boogers in their noses, they're falling down to like their upper lip, designers that made the capacitive touch the standard. Oh my gosh, capacitive touch on monitors is a bad idea. It's never been a good idea, and it becomes a worse idea as technology continues to improve and these monitors get better and better, and the capacitive touch becomes more and more frustrating. It is so hard to use, it's so non-intuitive, and it's ridiculous. So, one major drawback is that in previous generations of Dell monitors that are in this same exact class that actually use the same panel had nice, good, tactile, real buttons that you could push and do all your adjustments, because really you just want to do them a couple times and you're good. The capacitive touch buttons on this monitor are awful. Not as bad as BenQ's, but oh my goodness, they are not fun to use on this. So why would you buy this monitor as opposed to something with a higher refresh rate or another 1440p panel that might be a little bit cheaper? Well, one of the primary reasons is that you have fantastic color representation. The contrast ratio on this monitor is top-notch. And again, the backlight bleed is good. I don't know if it's the best in the industry, but it's pretty dang good. So for the price that you're paying for a great picture fidelity at that 1440p resolution. If you go to a cheaper IPS panel or even a TN panel that's 27-inch that has the same pixel density, you're going to notice quite a bit of difference, especially in how good your picture looks. However, if you need a monitor with higher refresh rate for gaming or for, you know, gaming or whatever else, there are IPS panels that are just a couple $100 more than this that offer things like G-Sync, 1440 or 144 hertz refresh rate, or even in some cases 165 hertz. So you can definitely upgrade to those options. But as far as professionally used monitors go that are in the 1440p range, this is one of the best on the market. Dell's done a great job with the build construction of this particular monitor. It is a great overall value from our standpoint, and we think that if you're using it for photo editing, for videos, for architectural design, graphic design, this is a great monitor and a great option for those uses. One thing to note, if you are buying this monitor and you want to use it for multiple purposes, it is kind of weird. I know that in a 2017 model that there's not any FreeSync or G-Sync or anything that would allow the refresh rate to match the output of your graphic card. That is a little strange. It kind of seems like an oversight, because especially because some of those technologies are really cheap at this point. Nonetheless, it is an overall good monitor for professional use. I don't know if we can necessarily recommend it for gaming use. I think there's better values for your money at this price point. Although if you're extremely concerned about how pretty the picture looks, it's not a bad option. So if we wrap this thing up, put a nice little bow on it, you know, use the clear tape, stick it on there, fold in the folds so that it doesn't show like any hard lines. This thing is a great monitor. We could definitely recommend it. Dell's done a great job knocking out of the park with the build quality and the construction overall. And we think it's a great value for the money, especially for professional use. You can find a link to this monitor in the description below, as well as a bunch of the items that we use to shoot this video and videos like it are also available in the description below in the links there. Please like, share, subscribe, put this on your Twitter, Snapchat it. Is that how Snapchat works?
Snapchat it.
Snapchat it, I think. Instagram it, Insta, you know. Do all the things that you guys do. You're social, you're great, you're fantastic. As always, we really appreciate you checking out our video. Let us know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you just want to add to the conversation in the comment section below. Again, we are Gus Tech, and we will see you next time.